Hi, it's Sugate. Today I'm going to talk to you about etchall. Etchall is an etching product that comes in a cream or comes in a liquid. How you tell the difference? The liquid is blue, the green is cream. We sell them in a 4 ounce, a 16 ounce, and a 32 ounce. So you have lots of sizes to choose from. There are many tools which are involved when we use etchall, and I would suggest that that is what you use so that you can come out with the properly finished product. So I would like to go over everything with you today and how it works and how you can create stencils and how a stencil works. So let's get started. First, I'm going to talk to you about the tools that we have at etchall. There are 3 different tools. One is a pick tool, which is this one, this is what you're going to use to pick out your designs with. You never go and pick from the edge of a laser cut stencil, which I hope you can see here. Let me just tilt it a bit so we don't have shine. And that's where you're going to go and correct and pull from the center, not from where the cut line is. You'll distort it and it will show. It has a nice protective lid so you're not going to stab yourself, and then it also has these nice tubes for easy storage. The second tool we have is a straight cutting edge blade. And that's if you want to use this as a pick tool as well, or you can cut straight lines with it. Again, protective sleeve, safety first. The nicest tool that I think we have is a tool called a swivel blade. And when you place this on any surface, you'll see that this blade is going to spin. And I'm going to show you how this works later. The trick to this is you place it on the surface and your hand moves, not the blade. You hold the blade straight up and down and don't lift the blade off the surface until you have finished cutting. Don't let anybody else use your swivel blade because they might lean to the left, you might lean to the right. So if you're going to have, classes or girls' night, make sure that everybody has their own swivel blade. Again, protective sleeve. The next item that we have is called a designer tip kit. So if you want to sign your pieces, or if you wanted to do some really fine work, this is how the kit comes in a nice little see-through, almost like a cosmetic bag. What you're going to do is you're going to take the lid off the cream, which I've already done, and you're going to attach this blue lid. You are going to pull off this white tip because it does not have a hole in it. Any minute now. See that? I've stuck it on there so hard I can't get it off. You're going to now apply whatever color tip you want. It comes with 6 tips. You're going to take this and you're just going to go ahead and sign your name. Now there was air bubbles in there. Next time, shake it. This is the only time that you cannot reuse your cream. Etchall is a reusable, in the liquid or the cream, etching product. So this time, instead of using your squeegee, which I will explain to you what that is in a minute, you're just going to take this right to a sink and you're going to wash it. And then that way you're not getting everything everywhere. I'm going to take a damp paper towel and I'm just going to wipe this off because there's something on the other side of this that I want to show you in a minute. To clean this, you take off this lid. You place water in this, you put the lid back on, and you start squeezing the bottle, and that will clean out your tips. Make sure that you do not get any water into your etchall, be it the cream or the liquid, because it will stop the proper action of the product to work. There is no timeline. If you were to take your etchall and put it on top of an item, and then you were talking on the phone and you forgot that it was in there, it's not going to eat right through the product that you're working on. So you don't have to worry about that. We have another product called Resist Gel. And what resist gel does is if you're etching and you want to make a design and you don't want it etched, now I'm sorry for all my fingerprints that are on here, this comes on a beautiful soft green color. But when it dries, it's clear. When it's clear, you know that it's safe for you to go ahead and etch whatever you want to etch. So if I was to etch this right now, and then I was finished, I would go and I would rinse like I normally rinse. Oh my goodness, you can see me and my hair is a mess. You're going to take a hold of this and peel it off. So if this was etched, all of this and in behind all this mirror would be etched, but where you're seeing this snake line, that wouldn't be. So that's what we call our resist gel. I'm going to talk to you now about stenciling. Let me get to the squeegee and the stencil. Whenever you're applying a stencil, you're pulling it away from you, never shoving it. Pull away. I usually go from the center and I go outward. It's just easier for me, and I don't have to worry about shoving in, because after you've applied the stencil, you're going to go back and make sure it's flat. And if you get in the habit of shoving it, you're going to start distorting all those beautiful laser cut lines. So that's what we use our squeegee for, plus we also use it to apply our cream. You can cut out a stencil using a silhouette machine. That's what I have. I don't have the Cameo. You can use a Brother or you can use a Cricut. So if you're a card maker, I suggest that you start getting into etching as well, because now your machine is doing two things, not just one. A stencil consists of 3 parts. So when you're ordering your stencils from etchall.com, it's going to be bright yellow, so you know it's from etchall. So there's 3 parts. There's the backing, there's the vinyl, and then there's the top sheet, which is called the mask. And when you order your vinyl, you will get sheets of the yellow vinyl, and you will get sheets of the mask that goes on the top, which is called etch mask. So if you think of a stencil as a sandwich, that this is a piece of bread, and this is a piece of bread, and this is the cheese, and we have to get at the cheese, you will always remember which order it has to go in. This is exactly the order of how you remove your stencil. You take the back off, you take the etch off, and then you have your stencil. So I have one here already, which I'm going to show you now how it works. For some odd reason, it is stuck onto my mirror. This one, what I did is I took the back off. And what I want to show you is a negative and a positive. So this is going to be a negative. So I'm lifting this and I am pulling everything off of here. And notice how I pull it sideways. I don't pull straight up and down. Now I keep this as my garbage can, so I'm not making a huge mess. It's too bad my light is really, I'll put this roll of tape there. That'll work. Now what you're going to do is you are going to come along here in the center of where the stencil has been cut, and you are going to apply it to the garbage can. And you're going to pull all this out. And this, when it is etched, is going to create a negative stencil. Negative meaning everywhere that you see the mirror currently, it's going to be etched. You go very slowly, not going where the cut lines are, because remember what I said, you were going to distort the freshly cut the stencil, and it'll make a huge mess. So right now I've got some of this on here. Just give me 1 second and I'll get it all off, and then I will apply the cream, and then I will show you how that's done. I have a motto that when in doubt, tape it out. So if there's something that you do not want etched, there's no way that you want that etched, you are going to come along and you're going to tape it out. I just use painter's tape that you can see here in front of me, and that's what I use. Sometimes I'll use scrap pieces of my vinyl that are left over. I mean, there's no point in just throwing it all out. If you can use some of it, if it's too small to be recutting or anything like that, then just go ahead. And now there, I've just ruined my stencil. So it's always good to make a mistake. When you're having a stencil, the stencil has to look like this. You have to have lines in between. Here I've distorted it and I've messed it up. But I'm going to show you how to do it anyway. I'm going to leave it as is. Now you can see all my fingerprints, and I forgot to tell you the most important part. When you start with etchall, you take any type of rubbing alcohol, you wipe down the surface that you're going to be doing plus your hands. Now I have, currently on my hands, I have hand lotion. So now it's all off. If it wasn't off, you would have a real problem because it's almost like it's a film and it's not going to etch properly. So I'm going to set this one here. I'm going to get my next one. This one, so this is a negative. This one that I'm going to do for you is going to be a positive. Again, let's wipe off the surface with rubbing alcohol. Always wipe your hands. Never place your hands on your face, or the oil from your face is going to transfer onto your surface, and you certainly don't want that to happen. These are just little tiny coaster squares that I get from the dollar store. What I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this stencil. So there's my back, so there's my bread, the white's my cheese, this top part, the mask, is my other piece of bread. So I'm very carefully going to lift that off, place it off to the side. I'm going to take my stencil and I'm going to apply it. With my squeegee, I'm going to come along and pull it flat. I'm going to very carefully pull sideways. Notice how I'm pulling it off to the side. I am not pulling it straight up. That becomes my garbage can. I'm going to come along here. This time, I'm going to pull out the design like this, very carefully. Don't go to the laser cut edge. You'll not be a happy person if you do that, because the edges, when they're cut on the cutting machines, they're perfect. I'm not a sponsor for Silhouette, but what I like about the Silhouette is you can upload your own images to the Silhouette and cut them out. It's not difficult. You just read the instructions and they'll show you how to do it. So I'm going to take that off. I don't want this to be a really long video, so I'm not going to take all of it off. I'm just going to show a bit of it off. So now that I'm done with this, I'm going to take my garbage and I'm going to throw it away right away. I'm going to take my stencil, backing, place it back over the top, and very gently go like this on both of these surfaces because I want to make sure that everything is stuffed down properly. Negative, positive. Okay, we all remember that? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the cream. Now, etchall will come to you in a beautiful, nice light cream color. This one is starting to turn a little bit caramel, not a problem. And it will go all the way to even black. You still use it. You don't throw it out. Whatever you do, don't throw it out. So I have that off to my side. Now, because this is going to be a positive etch, I'm going to tape, remember what I said, when in doubt, tape it out. Now I can see some lines on here from the cutting that have separated from the stencil. So when I go to do this, these lines are going to show. So that is when you would use the resist gel, put that along there, let it dry so that that's not going to etch. No matter how thin you think a cut is, it is going to etch. But because we don't want to be spending a ton of time with the video, I'm not going to do that. But if you can see the underneath surface, and I can really see it here, you're going to make sure, this should all be white, you're going to make sure to use your resist gel to fill that in. On this one, I'm going to take a small piece of vinyl. This one I'm using here right now is Mac Tack if you're in Canada, or shelf paper if you're in the US. It's not as good a quality. Now notice I'm using my pick tool, and I'm coming here and I'm picking this out. So I've lifted up the vinyl, and I'm going to place it right about there. Fold it up a little bit because I want to make an area where I can pull my cream across. You never want to take your cream and dump it right on because it's going to give you the ripples of like throwing a stone in a lake, and now you're going to get an uneven etch. So I'm going to start here with our positive. I'm going to take my squeegee. So let me move him up there. I'll come here. I'm going to take my cream off to the side. It's cooling here, so it's kind of thick. It's coming out. If you get crystals into your cream, I'm pulling across like I'm buttering a piece of bread. Now you can still see that pattern through there. Let me lift it. That means you don't have enough. So now you put a ton of it on here, and everybody goes, oh my goodness, Sue, you're wasting. I'm not wasting. It's reusable. What I am doing is I'm taking the squeegee and going back and forth, because if there's bubbles in here, I want to make sure that I get the bubbles out. Take my squeegee, I wipe it back into my jar. Remember, it's usable. I'm even using my fingers. It's not going to hurt me. That's our positive. Now I'm going to take my negative, and I'm going to put my cream, just have to get it out, along the side, and I want to make sure that I have a lot of cream along the side. Because I need to be pulling this all across as quickly as I possibly can. So I've got my cream. I'm going to come here and I'm going to start pulling very, do you see how fast my hand is going? As fast as I possibly can get this up here and across. Doing a negative etch is a little bit more tricky because, like I say, if you aren't pulling it across quick enough, you're going to have trouble. I'm going to take some of this off of this one and put it on here. When you're doing this, you don't want to hear your tool hitting the surface because you're almost like you're scraping it off. You want to leave this on here for 15 minutes. Remember that the minute that goes on there, it has started etching. So I'm going to put some more cream on now. Cover up my stencil. Put it on thicker. You can wait your 15 minutes and you're going to come back and you're going to scrape this all off. So, I'm going to come here. 15 minutes has passed. I'm coming here and I'm taking this and I'm scraping it right back into the jar. Right back. You save every last drop that you can. Now you're going to wash this, so pardon me while I go to my little wash container. Coming back with my pick tool, and I'm coming here, and I'm going to lift, and I'm going to remove the stencil. I like to do this under the running water, and then if you use warm water, it comes off a lot easier than if you use cold water. The cold water will make it brittle. I really should have one of those flat glass that you remove the paint with the flat blade, but this will show you what I'm talking about. I try to be as neat as possible, just so it doesn't make a huge mess everywhere. You can even take your squeegee and help to lift. If you don't have a squeegee or you lost your squeegee, you can use a credit card to apply and pull your cream across in case you've misplaced it. I would suggest you buy two, then you always have one on reserve. So I'll show you what I've created here. Now remember I told you that we would see a line etched here? Well, there it is. That's how you can tell. And here's all your other beautiful frost. You cannot feel it. When you do this product, everybody's going to take their fingers and run it across the top. And if you're doing a glass, they're going to put their hand on the inside. They're going to say to you, wow, how did you do that? That's your little secret. You can make this a great side business by doing this. It's fingerprint proof, so no matter how many times you touch it, the oils are never going to attach to the etch that you've created. I'm going to come now to the one that I'm doing the negative on. Holding it over my jar, putting it all back in. Remember, no matter how thick you put it on, you're not throwing it out. I was starting to say if it gets crystals in it, if you live in a climate and you have air conditioning, don't throw it out. You take it, boil a pot of water, take it off the stove. Take your jar of etchall with the lid on tight. Remember, the water's going to deactivate it, so it's not going to work like it's supposed to. Then what you're going to do is you're going to just take it and shake it. And your jar will be as good as new. So now I've removed it. I'm putting my lid back on. I don't want any water in there. Going to dry it. Now I did not do a good job on this. I can see it already. This is a negative etch. And as you can see, where the cream went on and the stencil stayed, that's the only place you see the mirror. Now you see all this blotchiness? This is wet right now. So when it's dry, that will all go away. So this is a negative etch. So you have a positive and you have a negative. Let me get the positive back out. Remember the positive, can't find the positive, sorry. Remember the positive, you see more mirror, the negative, you see less mirror. I'm going to show you what dip and etch looks like. Remember, that's the one with the blue label. So what I have soaking in here currently is a pair of earrings. If you're a jewelry maker, you can etch your glass beads. Instead of having to pay for frosted beads, you can make them yourself. So how I'm going to do the pendant part of this necklace is I'm just going to take this and attach it on a piece of ribbon, and I'm going to tape it to the other side, the outside of the bottle. I'm going to take my earrings. Now with the dip and etch, you should leave it for a half an hour. I'm going to rinse the earrings out, and now you're going to see the difference. From a clear, shiny glass, these are now frosted. I hope you can see that. It's not shiny, shiny. There's a matte finish to them. We can etch anything with etchall unless it has lead in it. If it has lead in it, it's not going to etch at all. And how you're going to try that is if you had a really nice, expensive, wine glasses and somebody wanted you to etch them, you're going to take your pick tool, dip it in to your cream, and dip it in a very inconspicuous place on the glass. Wait your 15 minutes, wipe it off. If there's a little dot, it'll etch. If there's no dot, it's not going to etch. No matter how long you wait, it's never going to etch. What you want to do is if you're using the dip and etch, you're going to take a plastic container. You're going to take, this is an old jar for jam. You're going to put this jar into your glass container, and you are going to fill the container with water to where you want this item to be etched. So I want this to be etched right to the top, right to here. So I've taken this out. When I take the jar out, the liquid drops, and I take a line, a marker, and I make a line on here. I take my container I want to etch, I dry it really well, and I dump out my water, and I dry this container really well. Etchall is more buoyant than water is. So you need to make sure that you put something in here that's really going to weight this down. You're going to take this and you're going to take it and put it in here. You're going to take the dip and etch. You're going to open it up very carefully. And when it's brand new, this is what the color looks like. Let me bring this. And you are going to pour. And you're going to pour very slowly. I've just told you a mistake. You're going to fill this with the dip and etch. This is the correct way. Fill it to here. Right to the line. Place it off to the side. Remember that this container now is got, it's weighted down. So now you're going to take this and you're going to put it down to where your line is, and you can see that I'm going to be etching, if I can move this over a smidge, right up to the top where I told you. You're going to wait out your 15 minutes, and then you're going to take it out. If you were doing a wine glass, you're doing everything that you want to dip and etch this very same way. You're very carefully going to lift this out. Now remember, I haven't waited the half an hour. You're going to lift this out, take it, rinse it, and it will be etched. You're going to take what's remaining, you're going to pour it right back into the container. You can use this over and over and over. Make sure you put the lid on it. There you go. Now that's for the dip and etch, okay? So wine glasses can be etched all the way up, or you can etch up to the bottom of the glass and just do the very fine stem and the plate at the bottom. I mean, you can be the creative one. You can do whatever you want. I would take a piece of vinyl and attach it tightly over the mouth of the glass if you were going to want to etch the whole glass right up to the top. That's how I would do that. I want to show you that you can. We are going to clean this first with our rubbing alcohol. I have another stencil here. Let's get a different one, something that's easier for you to see. Here we go. I'm going to take this bird and I am going to take the back off as soon as I find my pick tool. Well, I can't find it, so I'm going to use the straight edge cutting blade, and I'm going to lift off the back, and I'm going to place this bird on this teapot. Now I'm going to make sure that the wings are down properly and my stencil's down. I'm not worrying currently about the extra vinyl that's left over. Now you can see this is pretty terrible looking, but I can fix that. I'm going to lift off the mask in a minute, as soon as I find it. I'm used to using a pick tool all the time. Not having much luck with that. Where did my pick tool go? I can't stop this video because I don't know how to redo it. There we go. Patience. Okay. So I'm taking this all off. Now I have a lot of bubbles on here, as you can see, but I'm not worried about that right now. I'm going to take the squeegee and dry it off because it was in the water container. And I'm going to come along and I'm going to lift out my bird with my cut knife. Make sure that the eye stays. Nothing worse than an eyeless bird. And I'm going to take all this stencil off very carefully. What I'm doing here is I'm showing you that you can take the glaze off of ceramic. So if you were a person that did pen and ink, you could go to a dollar store or a thrift store and buy old plates and then take the shine off as much as you want, where you want, and then you could etch. So you can see that this is not very straight, so I'm going to come with a straight edge blade and I'm going to curve that and I'm going to take that out. And I'm going to make sure that that's down flat. Same thing here. If I don't straighten this out, it's going to show. Let's see, how do we look? For some odd reason, it doesn't want to stick right there. There we go. Okay. So I've got that all down. I'm not worrying about any of these other bubbles. It's not important to me. When in doubt, remember, you need to tape it out. But what we're going to do is we're going to make a trough. So we're going to have a piece of tape here. And why we're making a trough is because this is a round object. And we don't want our etching cream to run all over the place. So I might make that one a little bit longer. I'll bring that one there. Remember what I said. You don't have to worry about all these bubbles. It's not going to affect the etch at all. You're going to take your corners and you're going to turn them up and you're going to pinch it. And the same with this side. Lift it all up. Lift it up. You want to pinch it onto itself. That way you're making a trough. Now, that's okay there. Always keep looking underneath to make sure that you're not seeing the surface underneath. This is what's going to stop your etching cream, because we're using the cream for this. We can't use the liquid. That's not going to go anywhere. It's never going to slide off or slide down the sides. There's nothing worse than doing a whole piece, getting everything ready, and then you put the cream on and all of a sudden it has slid. Another thing to do is take a towel. Fold it, place your item, curve that side up, and curve that side up. This isn't going anywhere. Now what I'm going to do, again, I'm going to take my cream, but I'm going to use a spoon this time because sometimes I find I have a little bit more control, because now I can spread this on very quickly with my spoon, and I can check on my area first to make sure that everything's done and add more if I need to. And now I'm making sure that everything is covered really well. Remember, it's reusable. You don't want to see the stencil. That's the trick. I see a lot of people posting things on Facebook and they're coming out blotchy. And the reason they're coming out blotchy is because you can still see their pattern like this. You don't want to. You want this all covered nice and thick. When we're moving glaze, it takes a little bit longer. I'm going to place that off to the side. It's wanting to roll. It wants to roll on me. Hang on. There we go. I'm going to take my finger, scrape it back into the container. If you have sensitive skin, you can use gloves. I don't. Doesn't hurt me. I'm going to rinse my fingers. Place my jar over here. I'm going to place my spoon on my paper towel over there. And now I'm going to show you what you can do with a swivel blade. You will leave the cream on your ceramic piece. After 15 minutes, you're going to come back and go like this. And by doing this motion, you are reactivating the cream. Remember, I told you in the beginning that after 15 minutes it stops etching. So you can't over etch anything, but sometimes taking off the glaze is a little longer process. So remember, after 15 minutes this is going to stop, come back, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Probably I would try it for half an hour, maybe take a little side, see if it's coming off. Just make sure that you're patient. This is going to be an upcoming class that I'm teaching. I do have a home studio. My website is artathome.ca. That's artathome.ca. And I teach all kinds of things. Pen and ink, acrylics, etching, I don't get into oils, but I can take any oil pitcher and turn it into an acrylic. You just have to know what the technique is. What I'm going to do is I want to etch the center of this plate. So what's the first thing I have to do? I have to wipe it down with alcohol. I got these at a thrift store. I haven't even taken the price tag off. The original price tag of this was $6.97 and I bought it for $1.50. This is going to be stunning. Now, you need to make sure that when you're getting colored glass, that it's not colored glass, that it has to be a true green or red. How you can tell is that it's not a paint on is look right through it, and if the bottom is clear, it's paint on. It's not going to work. If it's solid all the way through, then you're pretty well to go. The back of this has been painted, and it's been painted with like a black purple paint, but it doesn't matter to me because I only want this side. So I am taking my shelf paper that I talked about before. Now remember, when you're doing projects, you want to use a good quality vinyl, and you can get that through etchall.com. So I'm going to take my cutting knife and I'm going to lift up a corner without trying to cut through the whole thing. There we go. I'm going to take this. Remember, I want the whole plate covered. So I'm going to go like this. Make sure that that's, but I have to push it in. So let me get rid of this piece of paper. I have to push it into where I want this etched. So I'm going to lift up the sides and push all the way along like so. That way it does not create any air bubbles, and I'm going right to where I want the plate to be etched. I don't care if there's an air bubble in the center because that's getting taken out. A lot of times when I'm teaching etching, a lot of people love to turn around and take all this excess and fold it under. You don't have to do that. It makes it very, very difficult for you when you go to wash off to get it off. So I'll show you a trick of what you can do with all this extra vinyl. Let me just get this last little bit. In. You can take this vinyl, fold it up onto itself. Then you're not getting stuck on anything. Now, because I've done etchall for years, I wouldn't tape off this section where you can see the gold, but for all you newbies, we're going to tape that out. Remember, when in doubt, tape it out. I didn't mention what my credentials are. I'm a master etchall, master etcher. That's a mouthful, isn't it? And what that means is I am qualified to go ahead and teach people how to use the etchall products. I'm the only person in Canada, and up until a few years ago, I was the only person in all of North America. So that was quite a feat for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play and I'm going to show you how to use a swivel blade. So if I had a sketch like this, I can cut all this out. Very easy. I take my blade and I place it right on my line, and I move my arm, not the blade. My arm moves, not the blade. Now, I will lift this off, and there, you'll see, perfectly cut round teardrops. I'll do one here so you're not distracted by the color of the ink that I used there. Remember, I'm coming in the center, not at the edge. That's how easy it is to use the swivel blade. So what I'm going to do is I'm coming here with the swivel blade, and I'm coming along this plate, and I'm not doing a very good job because I'm going too fast, and I can see already that I'm up too high. So now I'm going to pull that off, and I'm going to come back here and push this down. Where it's overlapped, I'm going to take my straight blade and I'm going to come along here and pull this off. That is how you use a swivel blade. You would go a lot slower than I did so that you're not having all this up and down and sideways. Maybe this is a better way for you to see it. You want to go nice and slow. You'll take your cream, you'll come along, you will pour your cream off on the side of the subject, and then you will come along and pull it in as quickly as you possibly can. And the etching cream is going to take the shine off this plate. Then I can paint it because it allows the tooth for the paint to adhere. And then I leave it on there. I paint whatever I'm going to paint, or I pen and ink. I do whatever I want on there, but I leave this plastic on because when I'm finished, I want to go ahead, spray a matte sealer over the top of that so that it seals my painting in between. And then I go ahead and pull off my vinyl, which allows this piece to stay nice and shiny, and it gives you a really, really nice contrast. Let's come back to our teapot and see how we're doing. Now I'm just going to come here. I'm going to take it off. I'm sure it's not ready. I'm going to take it off. Like I said, I just wanted to be able to show you how to use all the products that we have at Etchall. This is a little trickier to get off. I'm going to come right down to the end of my tape and pull it into my container. I taught a grade 5 class how to do this. I didn't give them pick tools though because I thought, oh, the boys are going to think they're swords. So instead they got little straight pins to pick out their pattern. And the look of amazement on their face when they were finished. What we did is we did a coaster, and it was for Father's Day, and they thought it was magic. I'm going to rinse this. So in that short time period that I had that on there, obviously it did not take the ceramic off, but I guarantee you it will. Here's the pendant that I had put into the dip and etch. It's done. It has a matte finish to it. You can see it. It's not shiny like it was. I put the lid back on all my containers just to make sure. I don't want anything to spill and to make a mess. Now, I'm looking at this bird. Let me get the rest of this vinyl off. It doesn't look too bad. I could have gone a little bit longer to make it etch a little bit deeper. If you want a deeper etch, you can go ahead and do that. You can etch glass, ceramic, marble. So when you're rinsing this, make sure and it's very important that you do not, there's the bird. So see, you can take off the etch, the shine. Another thing you can do is you could take your, if you have oil paint, there's a product called Rub and Buff. You put a little bit of Rub and Buff on your finger and you rub it across here, and then you buff it off, and the oil paint will stick to the etch but come off of where the ceramic shine is. And that's a really, really nice finish as well. Obviously you couldn't use it. Now you can see where my fingers are because they were wet. You can't use that on something that's going to be put in somebody's mouth or something like that, but that's a very, very nice look. Just going to get the scissors, and if I can find them, cut off this ribbon that I put for the etchall. If you're a painter now, you could paint this. I don't know which is the best way for you to see it so that you're not seeing the, there, it's frosted. Please, if you're interested or if you have any questions, go to my website. My email address will be there. I am so grateful I had this opportunity to talk to you about etchall. You can order etchall at etchall.com. I can guarantee you that you won't be disappointed. There's no odor to it. It's safe to use. It's safe to use around children, so you really don't have anything to worry about. Just let your imagination go wild and start etching everything. My last note, when you're rinsing, don't put your piece right into water and rinse it that way. Hold the piece out of the water and take your water as if you're splashing it up on this way and rinsing like this, and your water is here. If you have a ceramic sink, marble, porcelain, it will take the shine off. I just go and buy one of those plastic tubs from the dollar store. I put all my pieces in there, and I just use that. I don't have to worry. I usually rinse them in the laundry tub anyway. So remember my name, Sue Gate, my website, art, then the word at, and home, all one word, .ca, and I thank you for watching.